It has led to a backlash from the opposition. Many opposition politicians, the likes of Rashtriya Swayamsevak saying that Muslims of India do not need Mr. Bhagwat's permission to stay here. But there is also the larger question that's being raised by Mr. Bhagwat's comments. He says Hindus have been fighting for the last 1,000 years, so it is only natural that they come across as aggressive. The larger question that's being raised is, do monotheistic religions, whether it is Islam, Christianity, Judaism, do they allow space for non-believers? And about this supremacy narrative, which Mr. Bhagwat is talking about, is it glorifying past emperors and tyrants like Aurangzeb and Tipu? Is that a sign of supremacy? Or is the RSS vision of India Sarva Dharma Samabhav, that all religions are treated equally, unity in diversity, as the old adage goes? Is that what is the true life and blood of this nation state? But first, the story of what Mr. Bhagwat said and why that has caused such a huge flutter in political circles.
Months after visiting a mosque in Delhi, RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat said there is no threat to Islam in India. Speaking to RSS-affiliated magazines Organizer and Panchajanya, Bhagwat said, and I quote, "The simple truth is this: Hindustan should remain Hindustan. There is no harm to Muslims living today in Bharat. If they wish to stick to their faith, they can. If they want to return to the faith of their ancestors, they may. There is no stubbornness among Hindus, but at the same time, Muslims must abandon their boisterous rhetoric of supremacy," unquote. Bhagwat's remarks triggered a political storm, with opposition leaders like Asaduddin Owaisi questioning Bhagwat's authority to comment on where Muslims should live.
असल सुप्रीमेसी तो आपकी है। आप समझ रहे हैं कि हिंदू राष्ट्र है, आप ये दिखाना चाह रहे हैं कि वो आप रूलर है और हम रूल्ड हैं। हम ये कह रहे हैं कि नहीं, हम इक्वल सिटीजनशिप की बात कर रहे हैं, इक्वालिटी की हम बात कर रहे हैं।
At the same time, Bhagwat spoke of a newfound aggression among Hindus in India. He said, and I quote, "Hindu society has been at war for over 1,000 years, and it is all because of this that Hindu society has awakened. It is but natural for those at war to be aggressive. This war is not against an enemy outside, but against an enemy within. So there is a war to defend Hindu society, Hindu dharma, and Hindu culture."
Today we have a government of Prime Minister Modi that is working on the agenda of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. A government that relentlessly is working on development for everyone without distinguishing between any Indian citizen. And that's the correct position.
भारत के कुछ कट्टरपंथी लोग अपनी राजनीतिक रोटियां सेकने के लिए कहते हों कि मेरा मजहब ही सही है, बाकी को इसे स्वीकार करना ही पड़ेगा। ये जो साम्राज्यवादी सोच है, ये जो सुप्रीमेसी वाली थिंकिंग है, इससे प्रत्येक भारतीय को बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा।
So are the RSS chief's remarks aimed at inclusivity, or is it about intimidation?
All right, on the talking point this evening, Arun Anand is consulting editor with First Post. Dolly Sharma, Congress spokesperson. Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author, will be joining us. Maulana Masoodul Hasan Qasmi, Islamic scholar, also on the broadcast. Arun Anand, let me start with you first. The Muslims, and particularly politicians who represent Muslims like the likes of Mr. Owaisi, are saying that it is not the job of Mr. Bhagwat to be issuing certificates to the Muslims of India. They don't need Mr. Bhagwat's permission to be staying on in India. They have stayed on in India because their forefathers decided at the time of partition that they want to be associated with a secular state. How would you respond to that?
I think what Mr. Bhagwat has said, in a larger context, it should not be seen in isolation. If you look at in the recent past, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat had made a remark that the DNA of everybody is same, so there is no difference between Hindus and Muslims that way. Then he has gone and visited a madrasa and a mosque also. Not exactly a mosque, but he met basically the one of the leaders of this all India mosques. So there has been a consistent effort to reduce the toxicity which has been there in the atmosphere over the last couple of years or so, over the last few years. Because there has been, a fringe element in on the which claims to be, the pallbearers of Hindutva, but there has been a fringe element which has actually basically, vitiated this atmosphere. But RSS has got nothing to do with it, and that's why
But
it
when
is
he
trying.
says, Arun, when he says, and then after that I'll go to Dolly Sharma, when Mr. Bhagwat says the reason why Hindus are aggressive is because they've been at war for the last 1,000 years, sometimes with outside forces and now not against outside forces, but there is a war within and therefore that's why they come across as aggressive.
I,
Isn't
yeah.
that giving license to some people, the fringe elements that you say, to take the law into their own hands?
Zaka, it's a very interesting point which you made. I also want to clarify. The original interview which Mr. Bhagwat had given, he had given that interview in Hindi.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the Hindi transcript, actually the translation which has been done, and he has talked about being assertive, and he has not talked about being aggressive. When you say aggressive, it means basically you're targeting somebody.
Yeah.
But when you are assertive, so that's more of an affirmative kind of a thing, or that's more of a. So there has been sometimes the meaning is lost in translation also. So I would
Okay.
request everybody to go at and have a look at the Hindi transcript. So and I think
So let
it
me
is
ask Dolly Sharma, what is so problematic about what Mr. Bhagwat said? He's saying that there is no pressure on Indian Muslims. No one is saying that they have to convert back to Hinduism. If they want to stay on as Muslims, they can continue to stay on as Muslims. There is no threat to their identity, their religious identity as Muslims of India. Yet at the same time, they have to give up this narrative of supremacy. I'm presuming that what he is saying is, when Muslim politicians come out and glorify Tipu Sultan, when politicians go and visit the mazar of Aurangzeb, who has killed tens of thousands of people only because their religion did not happen to be Islam, then that is a supremacist narrative and that needs to go. If there are Muslim politicians who say that, we ruled this country for 1,000 years and we'll again come back and rule this country, that is a supremacist narrative that needs to go. So what is wrong in what he said?
In India, we say unity in diversity. And I don't understand why Mohan Bhagwat ji has to make such statements. I think 2024 they're preparing for. And I would like to give an example of Bilkis Bano. If supremacy is there, Bilkis Bano would have given, a clear-cut judgment wherein you must have seen the rapists. The BJP people only garlanding the rapists. Have you seen anywhere in any other country happening such things happening? No. They don't have to do that. I am a proud Hindu and I respect every religion. Religion, fanatism, it is not acceptable. You can't be, an extremist. We have to accept every religion. We have to respect every religion. This is what we have to do. That is why we are doing Bharat Jodo Yatra. Why do you have to call this again and again when we are living in India? And India, where there is, as I told you earlier, unity in diversity.
No, so
Mazhab
that
nahi
is exactly
sikhata.
what he's also saying, Dolly ji, that Sarva Dharm Samabhav, every religion should be treated equally. In fact, he said this in a speech last year here in Delhi, and I quote, "We have been telling that since 1925, which is when the RSS was founded, that everyone living in India is a Hindu. Those who consider India as their Matrubhumi and want to live with a culture of unity in diversity and make efforts in this direction, irrespective of whatever religion, culture, language, or food habit and ideology they follow, they are Hindus." So he's also talking about unity in diversity.
No, the way they are speaking, I think that they've started their 2024 campaign like that. This is how Mohan Bhagwat ji every time comes and makes such statements on continuous basis whenever elections are around the corner.
Okay.
So I think they've started for their 2024, but they should understand that mazhab nahi sikhata, aapas mein bair rakhna, sirf kehne se nahi hota. You have to follow this as well.
Okay.
Why?
So
I don't
Ratan
understand
Sharda,
why
again, I'm sure you've heard what the likes of Mr. Owaisi have said. The fact is that Indian Muslims stayed back at the time of partition because they believed in the idea of India, because they believed in the idea of a nation state where people of whatever religion you follow, whatever faith you follow, you are treated dispassionately and without any bias or favor for that matter by the state. That is why they are Indian citizens, not because RSS or Mr. Mohan Bhagwat allowed them to be Indian citizens. So Mr. Owaisi is saying we don't need Mr. Bhagwat's permission to be Indian citizens.
See, okay, Ms. Dolly, it's my turn. Okay. Has Mohanji made any statement contrary to what he has said? No. Secondly, who is Mr. Owaisi? A person who gets lesser votes than Nota is trying to represent entire Muslim society, which is not militant the way the person is. His brother said that we have ruled India for 800 years and we rule again. There is a Maulana who said that we will come back and break Ram Mandir. So if this is the kind of supremacist idea that actually Mohanji is opposing, not only that, we have religions which claim that unless you follow my God, the only truth, you will go to hell, you will be sinful, you will burn in eternal hell. Hindus don't say that. So this is that particular supremacist exclusivist idea on which Mohanji made a comment. As far as Congress is concerned, to look at everything from electoral perspective is actually very, very biased view. RSS has been saying the same thing since 1948. Let me not go back to pre-independence. After independence, 1971, Guruji said the same thing. 80, then Bala Sahib Dero said the same thing. Sudarshan said the same thing. In 93, Muslim Rashtriya Manch was born because of his inspiration. And that particular society, that particular organization is just the way that Mohanji is talking about. That you do your puja, your mazhab the way you want to, but you are part of the same ethos. Your history is same, your forefathers are same, your culture is same. Why
Okay.
Indian Muslims are told they are different? When you talk of unity and diversity means that everybody is given due respect. Does Islamic leaders give due respect to the other religion? मजहब नहीं
But why
सिखाता
do
आपस में बैर करना.
why there's
Do
any
they sing
need
Vande
to
Mataram?
say that they
Why
all
they
are
can't sing
Hindus?
Vande Mataram?
Why do you have to say that?
Okay.
Culturally, they are Hindus. Even Indonesians say that culturally we are Hindus. Madam, what is wrong
You
with
don't
that?
have to say
There is
that,
a
right?
difference
I
between
am a
that
proud
is
Hindu.
why are
I am a proud
yes,
Hindu.
but
Somebody
religiously you may
told
be
anything
culturally you
about
are
my
not Hindu.
religion, I will not accept
So
it.
there is a difference. No, can you allow me to
Yeah,
speak?
one at a
You
time.
asked, you raised a
Ratanji, finish your
question.
point.
Yes.
After that, Dolly ji, I'll come to you. Yeah.
When you talk about one is the cultural nature of your Hindu a thought, which is what even Indonesians believe that they are Hindus by culture, Muslims by faith. Now here in India, I want to conflate the two things. We want to say that your religion itself becomes your nationalism, your nation. That is not true. That is where the difference lies, and she has
Okay.
exactly
Dolly
pointed
ji,
out what is the
what
problem with
Ratan
thinking.
Sharda ji is saying, and I think he's paraphrasing what Mohan Bhagwat ji and RSS philosophy and their ideology is that Hindu is not merely a religious identity, it's an ethnic identity. So irrespective of what religion you follow, if you were born in this great land, you're a Hindu. That is their belief. That is their ideology. Dolly
But
Sharma.
why they're forcing everyone to accept this? Why do you have to say that? Why do you have
Nobody's
to say that?
forcing.
Everyone respects. I am a proud Hindu, and I does not want such statements for my religion also. So why there's any need, such need to say such statements? Why?
Okay.
I
Maulana
don't
Masood
think
Al
there's
Hasan
any
Kasmi, the issue is, and again, this is a larger philosophical debate that's been stirred up, is in monotheistic religions, whether it is Islam, Christianity, you are fundamentally a follower of that religion because you believe in that particular God. You cannot be Muslim if you don't follow Allah. You cannot be Christian if you don't follow Christ. Whereas in Hinduism, you don't need to believe in Ram or Krishna. You can still be a Hindu. And I think that is what the RSS is saying, that this is not merely constricted to a religious identity. This is an ethno-cultural identity. And therefore, if you are born in this land, or if you have come to imbibe the values and culture and practices of this land, you are Hindu.
Zaka ji, first of all, we all are Indians, and Mohan Bhagwat keep time to time keep saying, and very rightly he keeps saying that our DNA is same, Hindu and Muslim, and we are proud of that. We Muslims also are proud of that. Our DNA is same. But in the same breath, he also says that Muslims should abandon that they have ruled. We don't praise invaders. They are invaders and they were foreigners. Our DNA is Indian DNA. But Mohan Bhagwat ji, sometimes I see him confused person.
But Kazmi Saab, when a
contradictory.
politician
Sometimes
goes to Aurangzeb's mazar, और when a politician praises टिपू सुल्तान, तो फिर वो supremacist narrative ही हुआ है ना?
टीपू सुल्तान के बारे में हिस्टोरिकल डिफरेंसेस हैं अमंग द हिस्टोरियंस. इवन द एक्स चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफ कर्नाटका सिद्धारामैया कुछ दिनों पहले टीपू सुल्तान के पैदाइश के दिन पर वो टीपू सुल्तान के अटायर पहनते थे और पूरे कर्नाटका में घूमते थे. तो ही आल्सो वाज ग्लोरीफाइंग हिम.
नहीं नहीं,
कभी
अगर
कभी लोग
अगर
अपने
एक
अपने
एक नहीं नहीं, अगर
stand
एक
के-
मुस्लिम एमपी आके बोलता है कि देखो हम 800 साल यहाँ राज किए थे और हमारा राज जब दोबारा आएगा तब राम मंदिर के जगह दोबारा हम बाबरी मस्जिद बनाएंगे, तो फिर वो सुप्रीमेसिस्ट ही हुआ ना।
नो, एक आध आइसोलेटेड पर्सन को आपको जनरलाइज नहीं कर सकते।
Okay.
हम ऐसे दूसरी कम्युनिटी में बहुत से लोग दिखा देंगे जो कहते हैं कि ये काटे जाएंगे और राम राम चिल्लाएंगे। हम दूसरी कम्युनिटी में धर्म संसद वाले ले जाएंगे हैं जो कहते हैं कि पूरी पूरी जेनोसाइड कर दीजिए। तो इसको जनरलाइज हमें नहीं करना चाहिए।
Okay.
Black shapes are there in all the communities.
So okay, I'll take that point to Arun Anand. Arun Anand, I mean, what Maulana Kazmi is saying, Arun Anand, is when a elected member of parliament from Bhopal says you have to keep your weapons ready because there's going to be a war, surely no one in the highest echelons of the RSS or the BJP is condemning that. No one is saying a word against that, and this is an elected representative. So if just as condemnable it is that a Muslim politician goes and praises Aurangzeb or praises Tipu Sultan, it's equally the same. There is a supremacist narrative. You may call it fringe. I don't think an elected representative from the capital of Madhya Pradesh is a fringe. She is a member of the ruling party, an MP saying keep hathiyar tayyar rakho. That is also inciting. No, that is also supremacist. Arun Anand.
Yeah, I agree with you to some extent, and Maulana Sahab also, that one should not generalize. Second is that, in the public life, especially after social media has come, a lot of bizarre statements which come, and sometimes there are motor mouths everywhere, and there are people basically, who talk loosely, and yes, these should be basically condemned. But see, the thing is that it doesn't happen always that it's done publicly. Sometimes within the party also they are pulled up, and but as far as I know, basically she has been pulled up and she has been told specifically that these kind of things basically should not happen.
Okay.
One is that. Second is that, see, let's accept a fact that in India we suffered partition in 1947.
Mm-hmm.
There were massive Hindu-Muslim riots. Large number of basically Hindus were killed, especially when they were migrating from Pakistan. And then after that, there has been a big fault line which has been there. Let's not brush it under the carpet. And it has largely been there because a section of Muslims, radical Muslims, I would say, they are the radical Muslims. So they have been, talking about, they have been more focused on in terms of, uh, uh, I would say, they want to country to have a kind of a Sharia law and, the concept of Ummah. And that we have witnessed what happened in the Shah Banu case. A large section, except Arif Muhammad Khan and a handful of other people, there were hardly people from Muslim community
Okay.
who came to challenge us. So what I'm saying is that what Mohan Bhagwat has said, it points also towards, indirectly, it also points towards a major crisis which Muslim community has in terms of not having a progressive leadership, as Maulana Sahab was also saying.
Okay.
But
Let me ask Dolly Sharma again. The first part of what Mr. Bhagwat said about Muslims feeling safe in India. Yes, in the headlines there are these lynching stories that come forth and people forcing Muslims to say Jai Shri Ram and so on. But if you look at NCRB data, Dolly Sharma, the number of communal incidents has come down. From 2014, it was 1,227 communal incidents. In 2021, it's come down to 378. So by almost a fourth, it's come down. So if the number of communal incidents have come down, and if the BJP keeps saying that, we don't discriminate in our welfare schemes, हमारे जो लाभार्थी schemes है, वहाँ पे we don't discriminate between Muslims or Hindus or any other faith, then is this narrative that you folks are putting forth, Congress, other opposition parties, कि BJP, RSS communal है, लेकिन communal incidents तो कम आ रहे हैं उनके राज में.
No, but I'll give you one example here again. Again, Bilkis Bano case, I'll give you an example for. I didn't see any BJP leader coming forward and asking for the justice. Nobody did it. In fact, they favored the rapists. They garlanded them. And this has been done during the BJP regime.
No, that is condemnable. It's absolutely reprehensible. But that's one incident. I'm talking about overall data. The number of communal incidents has come down in the last 8 years.
This has happened. What I have given you, it's a logic. I've given you. Nobody came forward and held Bilkis Bano.
No, no, but
Nobody.
what
In
about
fact,
what about
Home Minister-
overall number of incidents? You've given one example. I'll ask Ratan Sharda ji about it.
But this
But
is-
what
this-
about overall number of incidents? The data is showing that it's come down.
But this is in open. I'm telling you again and again. This is in open. They don't give any such statement. Now elections are around the corner. Again, they're
Okay.
making such statements. So this is their every time strategy. Every time they come up with such statements, then they divide. Then debates happen. This is what they do.
Okay, Ratan
So
Sharda,
again,
please,
they're
please
making
respond.
such
When Bilkis Banu's rapists
that.
were freed, their remission was granted, they were garlanded. ये तो heinous crime है ना, and that too against a woman, and no one pulled up those fellows.
See, this is typical 2002 rerun that we see today. Bilkis Banu incident was horrendous. People suffered. They were jailed for the time for which even the terrorist who killed Rajiv Gandhi was released very happily. Nobody took any objection to that. Nobody praised these Bilkis Banu people, the people who garlanded with their family members. You couldn't stop them. And it was not at all supported by any political party or BHP or RSS. Now coming to the same incident, Godhra train, 59 people were burnt alive, and we had UPA government under Lalu Prasad Yadav who made some kind of bias commission who said that people shut themselves down and burn themselves. Was that not disrespect to people who are burned down live, and those people actually accused are finally in jail now? So, you should not try to keep on taking Jews, make out the same incident again and again. This is typical of Daniel. No, please, please.
15 अगस्त को कहते
हो गया,
हैं
हो
कि
गया
महिलाओं का
आपका
सम्मान
हो गया,
सबसे
मैंने-
डॉली जी
ऊपर
एक सेकंड,
मैंने
डॉली जी
आपका
एक सेकंड,
जवाब दे दिया
लेट
ना।
रतन जी
And the
फिनिश.
same
उसके बाद
way,
मैं आपके
मैंने
पास
आपका
दोबारा
जवाब
आऊंगा.
दे
डॉली जी
दिया।
एक सेकंड, डॉली जी उनको खत्म करने
मैंने-
दीजिए, उनको खत्म करने दीजिए. ओनली रतन
justify
शारदा ऑन
this
स्क्रीन प्लीज.
statement.
थैंक
देखिए,
यू.
अभी मैंने जवाब
thank you.
दे दिया तो फिर घुमाएंगे. आपके पास गोधरा के जलाने की खबर के ऊपर झूठी खबरें फैलाना, उस पर कमीशन न बैठाना, सजा न दिलाना, उनको बचाना, ये सारा जो आपने किया उसका बिल्कुल इस बहाने से धोना चाहते हैं. इसलिए उस बात को वहीं छोड़ दीजिए. जहां तक सवाल है एग्रेशन का, सी व्हाट मोहन जी सेड, ही वाज आस्क्ड whether RSS has gone soft as many pure Hindutva or ultra Hindutva people say. He said that's a long drawn battle where we talked of 1000 years of aggression against the Hindu society, and such people exist. They do speak against RSS and also take aggressive stance or assertive stance. It should not be so. Even if a Hindu says so, it should not be appreciated. That is his stance.
Okay.
Now to say that are supporting them, it's not at all correct.
Okay,
And we
Dolly
trivialize
Sharma,
all
Dolly
these things.
Sharma to
You talk
respond
of
now.
riots. There is
Dolly
no
Sharma to
big
respond. Yeah.
riots since 2004.
Okay.
Small riots, no big riots.
Okay,
But they will
Ratan
not
ji, yeah.
appreciate that because
Dolly
they want
Sharma.
riots.
Yeah. I was not able to hear.
No, no.
Can
You
repeat
wanted to
little
make a
please?
point. You wanted to make a point when Ratanji was speaking. Yeah, now make that point. Yes.
Yeah, I said you can't be justifying the rapists,
No, he did
Anyway,
not. He did not.
Home
He
Minister
said that's
ने letter
condemnable.
लिखा, 15 अगस्त को लाल किले की प्राचीर से प्रधानमंत्री कहते हैं कि महिलाओं का सम्मान के बिना देश की प्रगति और उन्नति नहीं हो सकती, और उसी दिन आप उन रेपिस्ट को छोड़ देते हैं संस्कारी बताकर. कैसे आप रेपिस्ट को छोड़ सकते हैं? कैसे आप मर्डरर्स को छोड़ सकते हैं? 1-2 का मर्डर नहीं, 7-8 लोगों का मर्डर किया, 3 साल की छोटी बच्ची को मारा और एक
people
गर्भवती
burnt alive.
महिला के साथ रेप किया.
Okay,
You can't be
okay.
justifying
Maulana
this saying
Kazmi,
कि
I'll give Maulana Kazmi the
It's a
final word.
heinous crime.
It comes down to, अगर मोहन भागवत कह रहे हैं कि Hindu society has been at war with itself for the last 1000 years, it will come across as aggressive. पहले वो outsiders के साथ था, अभी there is an internal war going on. उसके response में people like Mr. Akbaruddin Owaisi coming out and saying हमें 15 मिनट दो, 200 million Muslims will show what we are capable of. क्या वो aggressive नहीं है? क्या वो supremacist narrative नहीं है? वो भी तो है.
देखिए, मैं फिर वही बात कहूँगा, ब्लैक शेप दोनों कम्युनिटीज़ में है. गलत लोग दोनों कम्युनिटीज़ में हैं, लेकिन परेशानी ये है कि जब आता है तो मैं अपनी कम्युनिटी को बचा जाता हूँ, अपनी कम्युनिटी को कंडेम नहीं करते. ऐसे दिल चाहिए, ऐसे लोग चाहिए जो कहें कि असदुद्दीन ओवैसी के भाई ने जो किया वो भी गलत है, और प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर ने जो कहा मारो काटो वो भी गलत है. मैं चाहूंगा, जिस तरह से मैं कंडेम कर रहा हूं, मैं अपने दोस्त रतन शारदा जी से भी चाहूंगा कि वो कंडेम करें. ये होगा बड़े दिल वाली बात.
नहीं, उन्होंने जो बिल्किस बानो वाली बात जो डॉली जी ने बताया, उन्होंने कंडेम किया है. ऐसे नहीं कि उन्होंने आके बोला कि वो अच्छी बात हुई उनके साथ जो उनको रेमिशन मिला, उनको माला वाला पहनाया. किसी ने नहीं कहा कि वो अच्छी बात है.
लोकसभा MP from लोकसभा said to मारो काटो छुरी तैयार करो. So this type of people should also be condemned
Okay.
from other side.
Ratanji,
sir.
final word, 30 seconds I have to wrap up. About Pragya Thakur, yes.
Arunanand or me?
No, Ratan Sharda, last word.
See, already Arunji has clearly said that there has been clear-cut instructions to Sadhvi not to speak this language, and we know that, and she is a very bitter person who has suffered a lot, unnecessary imprisonment, wrong cases and all that. So we should not compare her to any normal person because she has gone through that trauma and still she is being stopped every time she speaks
Okay.
the word. As far as Mohan Bhagwat is concerned, he has condemned
nahi
lynching
hai.
and he was criticized for that.
Okay.
He has criticized Hindus for going very overboard. He said even in this interview.
All right, I'm
take a
wrapping up.
positive approach.
I'm wrapping up. I'm completely out of time. Thank you very much to all our guests. I'm getting a piece of breaking news. I need to go to that now. This is coming through. This is in this fight that is going on between the Collegium and the NJAC. That battle is now further intensifying. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has once again hit back at the Supreme Court. He declined to entertain the Attorney General on the point of the Supreme Court's advice. His comments come in the backdrop of a hearing that happened on the 8th of December in the Supreme Court over the Collegium row, wherein the Supreme Court advised the Attorney General to urge high constitutional posts to not make certain kinds of statements. Let's play out what Mr. Dhankar said, and then we'll go across to our legal reporter.
आप विधानसभा में न्यायालय का फैसला नहीं लिख सकते. You cannot script in legislature a judgment of the court. उसी भावना में court cannot legislate. It is as clear as anything else. अब आज के हालात क्या हैं? One-upmanship. Public posting from judicial platforms. ये ठीक नहीं है.
Okay, I want to go across to Ananya Bhatnagar. Just put this into context for our viewers. What was the Vice President referring to? Did this come up in court? And of course, how does this fit in with this whole battle that's going over the collegium system and the appointment of judges?
Well, Zaka, on the last occasion when on December 8th, the matter was heard by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, after VP Dhankar had made certain comments over the NJAC and the collegium system, had advised the Attorney General to actually go and speak to these high constitutional posts, hinting at the Vice President and also at the Law Minister, clearly asking them to not make such a statement from such high constitutional post again. In fact, on the hearing that took place in January a few days ago, also Supreme Court retaliated and asked the Attorney General to do the same. So on that particular point, Mr. Dhankar had to say that such kind of advice from the Supreme Court is not acceptable. He has declined the Attorney General on that aspect and won't be considering that particular aspect. Apart from that, he said that judiciary and legislature and in fact a democracy can only function when these three parts of the democracy, that is the legislature, executive and the judiciary, go hand in hand. And in fact, he also said that public posting from judicial platforms is something that is not right and should not be done. He also said, in fact, that he would not accept the Supreme Court's advice about how high constitutional posts shall not make such a comment over systems that are in place, whether it's the collegium system or something else, is what VP Dhankar is trying to say. He, in fact, also stated that just like the legislature cannot script a constitutional judgment, just like the legislature cannot write a Supreme Court's judgment, a judicial work, the same applies to the judiciary as well, and the same should not be done by the judicial officers, is what VP Dhankar had to say. He was speaking in Rajasthan at a conference that was there. He was actually inaugurating that particular All India Presiding Officers conference that was scheduled in Jaipur. And these were the comments that have come in. And his comments become very, very important, Zaka, because, this is the third time that VP Dhankar has stepped into this particular debate. First, he spoke at the Ellen Singhvi lecture. The second time he spoke from the parliament, and now again he has said the same thing.
All right, Ananya, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, Ananya, our legal reporter there, putting into perspective why Vice President Dhankar said what he said. So this ongoing tussle between the executive and the judiciary set to continue. That's a wrap. Anusha joining you with a very special edition of The Biggest Exclusive, celebrating India's first ever Golden Globe win in the Natu Natu song from RRR.
Good evening, hello and welcome to this special broadcast. I'm Anusha Soni. The song from Rajamouli's historical epic, RRR Natu Natu, won the Golden Globes Award for the Best Original Song, while leaving us with much hope for the Oscars as well. While this is not the first occasion when Indian music, Indian cinema and its art has been celebrated at the world stage, but the sheer energy, the rawness and the Indianness of the song makes this award very, very special. And the fact that it has won beating an impeccable line of work, artists and their contribution is an assertion of Indian cinema and art in its true form. The one which is about celebration, music, energy and a certain sense of rawness with its own finesse. The movie RRR, that was dubbed into multiple languages and was a roaring box office success. In the next 30 minutes, we get you exclusive conversations with the cast and the crew from the movie. First up, a very special report.
Goes to Natu Natu.
Taylor Swift, Rihanna and Lady Gaga had to go home empty-handed because RRR has created history by bagging the Golden Globe for Best Original Song for Natu Natu at the 80th Golden Globe Awards. The viral sensation won over Taylor Swift's Carolina and Lady Gaga's Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, among others nominated.
Sung by
Rahul Sipligunj and Kala Bhairava, this song was composed by M.M. Keeravani, who was present at the awards, along with the RRR trio.
This award belongs to, in order of priority, my brother and the director of the movie, S.S. Rajamouli, Mr. Prem Rakshit, and Mr. Chandra Bose for his wonderful words as a lyricist, Mr. Rahul Sipligunj, along with Kala Bhairava, who rendered the song with high energy.
Rihanna, who was also nominated in the same category, stopped by the RRR table to congratulate the winners graciously. Natu Natu's success is in equal parts to the catchy tune and also because of the vibrant energy of Ram Charan and Junior NTR, who gave it their all to be in sync with the instructions of tough taskmaster S.S. Rajamouli.
I've been looking at those legs. Look at that. I feel even the trousers are doing the same thing.
I think they were made. You were made 18 takes, 20 takes.
Yeah, similar. No, we even stopped counting takes. It was hours.
Okay, you just stopped.
It was hours because that's you see that perfection there.
Did you shot in Ukraine? You had time to enjoy the city. You had time
No,
to
we
enjoy
didn't.
Ukraine.
No, we didn't. We started at 8 in the morning.
Ended
We
8 in the
ended at
night.
8 in the night, and Ukraine shuts by 7:55.
A.R. Rahman, Shah Rukh Khan, Chiranjeevi, Alia Bhatt and Kareena Kapoor Khan were some of the early birds to congratulate the team. RRR was also competing in the Best Non-English Film category but lost out to Argentina 1985. But there's no doubt that the film is fast on its way to becoming a household name with the RRR craze gripping Hollywood.
जान से भी प्यारी तुम्हारी दोस्ती तो हमेशा होगी खुशी खुशी कुर्बान हो जाऊंगा
I love its friendship, I love its heart, I love what it says about fighting for what's right.
J.J. Abrams has called the film a fever dream while presenting it, and previously Jason Blum, the Russo brothers and Jessica Chastain are a few who showered love on the audacious film.
I have no words to explain for all the hard work the whole team put it, and coming from India, in south of India, and coming to the land of films, the mecca of films, and being appreciated, and it just gives us more energy to come back and do better films. The world is coming together, the cinema is coming together.
First of all, it humbles me that I get love from so many people who think